political leader and Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, other members of the People's National Movement Executive, including the party's PRO, and our chairman of today's meeting, Ms. Laurel Lazama-Leasing, Minister of Health and prospective candidate for St. Joseph, and the next MP for St. Joseph. Let's give it up for Minister Terence Deyalsingh. Allow me to recognize Minister Donna Cox, Minister of Communications, here with us. Alderman Anthony Roberts, Chairman of the San Juan Laventille Regional Corporation. The prospective candidate and next MP for Barataria San Juan, bringing Barataria San Juan back into the fold of the PNM. Executive members of the Barataria San Juan constituency, listening and viewing audience, members of the media, a very pleasant good evening to you. It is a pleasure to be in Barataria San Juan, always. Someone tells me I'm on loan to St. Anne's East, but I want St. Anne's East to let them know that I am St. Anne's East now, and I am happy to always visit with my Barataria San Juan brethren. Sour, sour, yes? This evening, I have a simple message for you, and that message is that representation is important and your vote counts. Representation is important and your vote counts. There are too many of us in Trinidad and Tobago who don't believe that political decisions are important. I am sure everyone sitting here, everyone viewing and listening can remember and can recall at least two persons you know who will tell you that voting is not important, that it does not matter if they cast their ballots. But I want to tell you that political decisions have far-reaching consequences. Let's just use this COVID situation. The decision to close borders, which was a political decision, saved the lives of many. Just look around the world at what's happening, and that is clear. A political decision saving lives. Think about our education system and free tertiary education. Think about how that has changed people's lives. Think about the fact that many young people would not have been able to achieve a tertiary education if that was not a political decision to offer that free to students who cannot afford it otherwise. It is a political decision why today 39 communities of Trinidad now have spanking new or beautifully refurbished community centers. And I want to tell you that this Barataria Center that we sit in was one of the first centers that was opened. It was built and not opened. So therefore, without a political decision to do that, we would not be sitting here in this lovely space today. Political decisions are far-reaching. How many micro-entrepreneurs today have their basis in the very popular community skills training programs that take place in centers all over the country? Many of them, whether it is balloon decorating, tailoring, dressmaking, and these are courses offered under the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, offered for years. And many people have found their basis for their business and their enterprise in doing these types of skills training, offered free to our citizens. Again, a political decision that has the impact on lives, changing lives, improving quality of lives. So when people say that we shouldn't bother with politics and politics is not important, these are some of the things that I'm showing you that are so fundamental to how we live that sometimes we take it for granted. It is not every country that has free primary and secondary education, but we accept it as normal here because these are the products of our political decisions in Trinidad and Tobago. We all know that education is the #1 way to climb out of poverty, to improve your standard of living. And we all encourage our children to go to school, pick up your books. We all recall the statement of Dr. Eric Williams that the future of our country is in the school bags of our children. But these are all political decisions that shape our lives, shape the culture of our country, and impact just how Trinidad and Tobago progresses. These are fundamental, life-changing decisions. And therefore, if political decisions are so important, then we should not, as citizens of this country, leave representation to chance. These decisions are too important to not have a say. Representation is important, and your vote counts. We are all adults, and we can vote. Those of us here and those of us who are not yet adults will soon be adults and will be facing that choice. And that is a responsibility. Being an adult and a citizen of this country brings with it a responsibility to make decisions which will affect us today, but will also affect our children tomorrow and our grandchildren the days after that. And voting is one of those serious responsibilities. The decision to vote, to support a party, it requires thought and analysis and assessment. It requires us to evaluate the options before us and to make a choice. And that choice is not for the perfect party, because I am not perfect. I don't think you are perfect. And if somebody is perfect, then I apologize for calling them imperfect. But no one is perfect, and no party will be perfect. So you are not required to choose perfection. But what you are required to do, and it's a serious responsibility, is to look at the team, look at the party, look at the leader that has shown themselves worthy of leadership, shown that they are up to the task of carrying this country forward. I want us to consider and take a careful look at the state of the world today. We are in the midst of a global pandemic raging in many countries. Global economies are reeling from the effects of that. And persons are very unsure, very uncertain of their future. That is the state of the world we live in. So we are called to support a team at this critical time in Trinidad and Tobago. And what team will you support? I want you to consider that when our country needed leadership the most, during this unprecedented pandemic, we received leadership like no other in the person of Dr. Keith Rowley, who sits here before us. We are small, but we outranked many of the countries in the developed world in how we handled that COVID situation, maintaining, as our leader says, that balance between saving lives and protecting livelihood, and steering this country relentlessly forward in the face of all the challenges and the difficulties. We have been able to resume a semblance of normalcy. We're not at normal point, but there's a semblance of normalcy where once again, persons are able to get out there and to earn a living, reducing the almost hopeless feeling that pervaded between March and May. In March and May, there were many people so frightened. Many people thinking it was the end of the world. Many people never envisaging that we will get back to normal. Many people so worried and scared about their future. And the fact that we are at this point, the fact that construction could have resumed, the fact that in this post-COVID period, the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts could have opened 4 more centers already, that alone tells you that we are getting our feet back under us, and that is not a happenstance. It's not because of the sunlight or because of the bleach. It is because of strong, focused leadership. And we saw it from our Prime Minister. We saw the Minister of Health leading the charge, Minister of National Security, Minister of Social Development and Family Services coming together to ensure that where we are today is where we would have been led. Again, the strong leadership displayed by a party, by a team of people who knew what they were doing, who were willing to make hard decisions and lead Trinidad and Tobago forward. We are called to make a choice. Representation is important, and your vote counts. All of these political decisions guiding this country relentlessly forward despite the hurdles, the challenges, and the unprecedented nature of what faced us in this time. So we are called to make a choice, and we are called to choose a team. The team that will represent this country come August the 11th will dictate the opportunities for your children, for my children, for youth. That team will dictate the recovery of our economy in this extremely difficult post-COVID period. That team will be responsible for creating opportunities for retraining and upskilling of citizens, many of whom may have lost their job in the aftermath of the COVID period. That team that we have to choose on August the 10th will be responsible for the continued trajectory of success for Trinidad and Tobago. I want to remind us that though we have regained some semblance of normalcy, it is not business as usual. We are not out of the water with respect to COVID-19, and the recovery will take us a while. This PNM team that is before you has presented the leadership, the capacity, and the imagination to keep this country afloat and to be an example, to have us as an example for the world in how we handled our business here. We must not let complacency or apathy cause us to neglect our duty. Nor should we allow personal desires and what we personally wanted to cloud our eyes in terms of choosing a team that will guide the entire country forward. The leadership of the PNM has been clear, decisive, and successful. No one can deny that. Regardless of whether you are a PNM supporter or not, the country has acknowledged that this PNM government, led by Dr. Keith Rowley, has done the best job possible for this country in this difficult time. The PNM has, as always, shown the fortitude to make the hard choices for the greater benefit of all. So it falls to us now. It falls to all of us to make the right choice. Representation is important, and your vote matters. In whatever part of Trinidad and Tobago you live, you are being called to make a decision. And I present to you this PNM government that I am so proud to be a part of, this team that led us through loss of revenue like never seen before without letting us fall into the hands of the IMF. I present to you this PNM party that maintained over $5 billion in social grants to the most vulnerable of Trinidad and Tobago, even in the most difficult circumstances. I present to you this PNM party that has invested over $100 million in community infrastructure over the last 5 years, 39 community centers presented to communities as a tool in their arsenal towards sustainability and resilience. I present to you this PNM, this party that while in governance passed legislation to protect our women and children like no other party before it, even a party that came before led by a woman. I present to you this PNM, a party which faced a serious migrant issue and dealt with it humanely and decisively. I present to you this PNM, a party which valued this country and its assets so highly that our leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, led from the front and demanded our pound of flesh from the exploitation of our resources, our oil and gas, and that has benefited all of us. I present to you this PNM, a party that while in governance has provided and maintained opportunities for growth and development of the young, the experienced, the artists, the housewives, the students, the parents, the performers, the tradesmen. The PNM, a party whose focus and mantra continues to be on education for progress and who continues to provide education so that whether you are from Febo Village, Sunshine Avenue, Maracas Bay, Luengo Village, Grand Quebecois, Corey Road, Las Cuevas, wherever you are from, your chance of success is just as good as anyone anywhere else in Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, I present to you this PNM party. I present to you this team. And I say to you today, we are to make a choice. And if we even look at the two parties, look at the track record, there will be no difficulty in making the right choice. There will be no difficulty in making the only choice. Representation is important, and your vote counts. And once you are willing and able to cast your franchise, I say to you today, it is incumbent upon you to make the right choice, to vote for the only party that can take this country forward, that can set out a future for your young people and our young people to ensure that our country continues on the trajectory to success. And I say to you that when we say great is the PNM, it is because of all of these things that we have done. And so on August the 10th, I encourage you to take up your vote and place it securely next to the Balize. Vote resoundingly for the PNM, the only party, the only choice that can take this country forward in 2020 and beyond. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.